Hi everyone, this class is a blend of dynamic and isometric movements designed to strengthen and increase range of motion in your hips and hamstrings. It's a perfect post-workout, post-run, or post-bike sequence, short and sweet. Grab a couple of blocks and let's get started. We're going to begin our practice in child's pose. We're going to be here for about 30 to 40 seconds. So taking the knees wide, stretching the arms a little wider than the shoulders to create some space in the upper back. Taking note of where you're holding tension, feeling any tenderness throughout the body, any sensations that are pulling your attention. And coming into a deeper breath, so inhaling through the nose and slowly exhaling through the mouth a couple of times. And then when you feel the pull to come up to a tabletop, make your way up to all fours and transition into downward facing dog. We're going to start the practice with a short down dog. So take the hands back a few inches so you can press the heels down on the floor and feel a stretch into the hamstrings and the backs of your legs. Engage the quadriceps. You can look at your kneecaps and make sure they're lifting. And then walk the feet up to the hands, come into a forward fold. And take the hands anywhere they land, around the elbows, the forearms, backs of the calves, on the floor. Take a soft bend in the knees so the belly rests on the upper thighs, taking strain out of the lower back. Part the feet a little bit wider than the hips to create more space in the pelvis and into the hip joints. Be here for about 28 more seconds or so. You find activation too of the legs by engaging the quadriceps. It's a really good way to lengthen and release into the hamstrings. And then taking the feet mat width distance, come into a yogi squat. And then forward fold, roll up through the spine, and then come down into a halfway lift, reaching the arms overhead. Come down into a yogi squat, take the hands to the floor, forward fold, and roll up through the spine. So a little more dynamic movement. Come into halfway lift, reach the arms overhead, yogi squat. Take the hands to the mat, roll up through the spine, articulating the vertebrae of your back. Circle the arms overhead, halfway lift to a yogi squat, forward fold into your roll up. One more time, reach overhead, halfway lift, firm up the legs. Come down into a yogi squat, release the hands to the mat, forward fold. And then bring the hands forward. Blocks are awesome for this practice actually. So downward dog with the hands on the blocks. Stepping the left foot to the outside of the left hand and then stepping it back, downward dog. Do that 4 more times. Step forward and step back. Lifting the belly to support the low back. You have about 2 more rounds, so step forward lightly and then step back. And step forward and then linger for a second. Lowering the right knee or keeping it lifted, depends on what you're working on. And then draw the hips back for pyramid and then lower the hips, come into a lunge. And draw the hips back for pyramid and then come forward into a lunge. So dynamic movement to work more length and activity into those legs, into the hips. So we do about 5. So it's pyramid to your lunge. You softly tap the back knee to the mat and then go downward facing dog. And then half pigeon, bring the left knee in behind the wrist and then back to downward dog. And do that 5 times. So I'm going a little faster. You can slow things down. You can also go with the tempo of the video or the tempo of my voice, of my verbal cues. It's completely up to you. Just make sure that you feel protected in the movement. You're not straining into the lower back or into the hips. And then switch to the right side. So step the right foot to the outside of the hand and then step back, downward dog. And make this movement light. Step forward, tap the left knee to the mat, and then downward facing dog. See if you can integrate the breath. Inhale to come forward. And exhale to go back. Inhale, step the right foot up. Exhale, step it back. And then holding into the lunge, take a moment to feel the spaciousness in the front of the body and then draw the hips back into pyramid and then come forward on the inhale And then exhale, draw the hips back, straighten the legs. Inhale, bend the right knee. Exhale, straighten both legs. Couple more. Inhale to come forward. Exhale, go back. Inhale to come forward. And then exhale, draw it back into a downward facing dog. Now do the half pigeon dynamic movement. So right knee tucks in behind the wrist and back. And you do that 5 times at a pace that feels comfortable in your body. Be very mindful here of your knee, of your ankle, and of your hip, and especially your lower back. Move slower, more mindfully, and work with a range of motion that suits your body. So downward facing dog, just to reset. A couple of deep breaths. Stepping the left foot to the outside of your left hand. You're going to come into a series of ballistic movements. You're going to roll to the knife edge of your left foot and then return to the sole of your foot. So take a peek at the video to see the demonstration. We're just going to move through this a little faster. So roll out and in. And we're going to be here for another 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then we'll see if we can hold a deep range. So roll to the knife edge of your foot. Again, ensure that your knee is feeling stable and protected. The right knee is lifted. Bring activity into the right thigh. We'll be here for about another 5 seconds or so. You should feel a deep burn into your left outer hip. Pull the belly up to protect the low spine. Push out hard to the back heel. Stay here for another 3, 2, and then 1. Draw the hips back, coming into that extended pyramid pose again. So come to the left heel, and then what you're going to do is pulse your torso towards your left thigh. We'll go 10, 9, 8. Pull up on the kneecaps, engage the thighs. 4, 3, 2, and hold your deepest range. Get any type of tenderness in the low back, bend your knees, shorten the stance. Put the blocks on a higher level. Hold for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lunge into the left knee. Bring the hands to the inside of the left foot. You're just going to lower your hips and lift, pulsing the pelvis up and down for another 7, 6, 5. Walk the hands out in front of you. Keep your chest up and your gaze forward for 3, 2, and hold your deepest range. See if you can track your hands forward even more. Try to come up into the fingertips. Engage into the back leg for 3, 2. Little deeper. Hold on, hold on. My count's off just a little bit, but we are going back. Nice work, everyone. Go into downward facing dog. Find relief here. Couple of deep breaths. As many as you need. Pause the video. That's the benefit you have of online yoga. Step the right foot forward. Let's do on the right what we did on the left. So walking the hands forward, create a little bit of instability there. Put the work into the leg. So knife edge of the foot, sole of the foot. And we go for another 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and hold the deepest range here. Track the hands forward, come up onto the fingertips. If you can muster that on the fingertips, chest open, so broaden the collarbone. Keep your gaze up, keep your jaw soft, keep your mind focused on what you want, how you want to feel, not on what you're going through right now. All right, let's do the pyramid extended pose. So you want to take a nice long stance. You don't want to shorten your stance. If you did, take it wide again. And we pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Feel as if you're drawing your right heel towards your left foot. Hold your deepest range. Hold your deepest range. Feel the activation of the right quadricep. Are you breathing? Well, of course you're breathing, but is it mindful? Is it conscious? Is it deliberate? You take that stance a little bit longer here, guys. So right foot inches forward. We go up and down with the pelvis. Walk your hands forward. You are going 6, 5, 4. If it's not hurting, you're not doing it right. And hold your deepest range. So we're not going for stretch necessarily here. We want to go for activation in a deep range. We want to gain stability within your mobility, within your flexibility. Hold on here. Fight the fight. You can do it. Remember how you want to feel. Remember the purpose, the intention for stepping on your mat today. Okay, walk the hands back. Let's find some relief in a downward facing dog. Take a couple of deep breaths. Feel the openness in the hips. We're going to come down onto the knees. So blocks, again, very useful here. Half camel on the right. So take the block behind you, right hand on the block, and then just switch sides. Left hand on the block for support. Press the hips forward. Feel that opening in the hip flexors. You can do that a few more times here. That's actually very helpful to open up the front of the hips. Coming down to seated, your favorite leg lifts in a seated position. So folding your upper body towards your thighs. Upper body as close to the legs as you can. Lift your legs both at the same time. We go 4, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Again, guys, you want to bring your hands as close to your feet as possible. That's going to be more difficult. Let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Fight the fight. You can do this. 3, 2, 1. Release. Again, guys, get your torso closer to your thighs. Don't make this easy for yourself. You can do it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Hold on. Do the work. Hip flexors are on fire. Last 2, 1, release. Forward fold maybe for a few seconds. All right, we're going to take the legs wider this time. So left leg goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Switch over to the right side. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. So that was a little rush transition. Little technical issues there, but we're back on track. Hopefully you're watching the video, pausing it as you need. Again, on the left, let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. This is not easy if you're looking at my face. And release. Good job. Go right to the other side. Don't even think about it. And we're here. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, this could be worse. We could be holding it after doing 10. Or we could do one more round, which we are going to do. So get ready. And 10, 9, 8, 7. Try not to speed it up. Slow it down. If anything, you want to feel this. 3, 2, 1. Good job. Switch it to the right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and beautiful. You have strong hips. Now you do. It's amazing how much work this is, isn't it? So great work. Forward fold just to release the tension. You're doing awesome. All right, coming up to stand, maybe a forward fold or anything else that counters all of that work. We're going to eventually come up to the top of your mat here. So taking a little bit of time to reset the body. We're going to step the right foot to the back of your mat. And so this is a hips and hamstrings class, so we are focusing on those major areas of your body. Everything is interconnected, so the upper body and what you do with the upper body, does play a part in the sensation and the overall experience you're going to have. So you can take your hands to your hips, make it a little more challenging by reaching the arms overhead. Trying to stack the shoulders over the pelvis here. So we tend to, if we're tight in the hips, we tend to bring the torso tends to lean forward. What you want to work on is creating that range of motion in the hips here by bending into the left knee, but drawing your spine back. So drawing your entire upper body back towards the wall that's behind you. And then stepping forward. Great job. Switching sides. Stepping the left foot back. I'm going to try and do a train track stance, not a tightrope. Your sit bones are not on top of each other. They are about 2 fists width, if not a little wider apart. And everyone is different. So bend deeper into the right knee. Draw the pubic bone, the front of your hip bones, up towards the sternum. 2 front lower ribs. Feel this knitting in of your corset. Feel activation in the back leg. Hold these poses for about 30 to 40 seconds, if not a little longer. And step forward. Funny to look at. Okay, we're going to change it into a goddess squat. Nice, generous stance. Again, why make these things easy for yourself? You step on your mat, make the most out of it. Challenge yourself. If you think your stance is wide enough, I can guarantee you it's not. Take it wider. Do it right now, right here. Bend the knees. Can you bring your thighs almost parallel to the mat? So there's an external rotation in the upper thighs. Aim your knees over your second toe. Can you lean the spine back and gently guide the hips forward? Again, not trying to push your body into a shape. Now get your hips a little closer to the floor. Here for 10 more seconds. A little lower. Find again the engagement through the torso. And stand up. Beautiful work, everyone. Shake it out, give yourself some time, and then transition into Warrior 2, facing the front of your mat. So it's your right foot to the front. Again, you think your stance is wide enough. If I was there right now, I would tell you to take your stance wider. Do it. Take your stance wider, bend into the right knee. I'm not too worried about the arms here. My main focus is the lower body. If you want to add the challenge with the arms, go ahead. You want to actively draw the right hip back. So it's like your right sit bone towards your left sit bone. And you want to drive your left hip forward. It's almost like you're working an internal rotation of the back leg, in external rotation, the front leg. Lunge deeper and release. Beautiful. It's my favorite cue for this class. Beautiful, great work. Don't underestimate this sequence. I was sweating. And we go, Warrior 2 on the other side. Just switch the stance or face the other way. Bend into the left knee. Again, if out of habit, you shorten the stance, you go to the places you always go to in your practice. Find ways to move outside of the box you create for yourself. Find ways to develop new range of motion. Lunge in a little bit deeper. And left hip back, right hip forward. Think external rotation in the front thigh. Internal rotation in the back thigh. And release, coming back up to stand at the top of your mat. Good shake out of your legs, always a good way to release. And then we're going to come down onto your back for a bridge or supine back bending series. But again, with the focus on the hamstrings. So lots of lengthening for the hamstrings so far. Now we're going to work on creating some strength. We're going to work at finding activation. So you're going to step your right heel onto a block. So just watch the video to check out the demonstration, and then you can just lift your hips up when you're ready. If the block is closer to your pelvis, it's easier. Further away is harder. Press into the right heel, lift the pelvis, and then bring your left knee towards your chest. Now activate into the glute and the hamstring. Create a connection between those two muscle groups. Create that neural pathway of engagement through those sets of muscles. And you'll get a good idea of how strong or how weak your hamstrings are after you do this exercise. The further away the block is, the more difficult it gets. Hold on, you got it, 10 seconds. Try to pull your right heel towards your shoulders without moving anything. Lift your hips a little bit higher, press your tailbone to the right calf, and release. Great work. Okay, mosey the block over to the left side, switching it up. Left heel goes onto the block. So when I lift into this pose, I start with a posterior tilt in the pelvis to create length in the low back. So do that, and then lift your hips up all the way to your highest range. Press into the left heel a little bit harder. Feel that connection, that grounding sensation And then try to draw the heel towards the shoulders without moving anything. You'll feel the activation in the hamstring. Do a self-check. Touch your butt. Is it engaging? Is it firing? Is your hamstring doing what it needs to do here to elevate the hips? Or is the glute just taking over? Find the balance, find the integration, create the pathway. Hold on, hold on. We're almost there. Great work. And lower it down. Guys, pause the video and do 2 more rounds on each side. 2 more rounds on each side. Do it. Pause the video. Go for it. Set your stopwatch. Set your timer. All right, so I wanted to close the class with some strap work to get into more of the hips and more of the hamstrings. And I've got Maverick with me, which is always a nice treat. So laying down onto your back, we'll wrap the strap around the ball of the foot. And then take the leg up towards the ceiling. So as you notice, my left knee is bent, which is a great modification, or if you want more from it, straighten the left leg. Okay. This dog, he's like, the look he's giving me, if only you could. He just rolled his eyes at me. Okay, focus. Oh, God. Awesome. So you want to keep both legs active, especially this left leg that's extended. And you want to bend the elbows, keep the shoulder grounded on the floor. You can always bend the right knee as much as you need to. You also want to try and get your hands as close to the foot as possible. But you do want to try and work towards a straight leg. I'm going to keep this left knee bent just for greater stability in the pelvis. I can't even. This is so funny. If you have a lab, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or even any dog, I think. When they're not impressed with you, they look at you and it's like a million words streaming out of their eyes. So we're going to be here for another 20 seconds. Wow. Stop looking at me. And you're gonna take the strap with your left hand. Oh God. Well, that was very entertaining and definitely distracted me from my hamstrings. So you're gonna find an internal rotation with the upper thigh. And you're gonna see if you can bring your right big toe towards your left shoulder without lifting your right hip off the floor. It might lift a little bit, like a slither. I'm trying to try and keep it down as much as you can. So internal rotation, and then draw your right foot towards your left shoulder without rolling onto the left hip. Play around with it, find your sweet spot. Another 20, 30 seconds for this one. This is a really good way to stretch along the IT band. Obviously, IT band, you can't physically actually stretch it, and you shouldn't stretch it. It's the attachments around the ligaments and the tendons that we want to work some more flexibility in, more length in. And then take the strap with the right hand, come into a happy baby variation with your right leg. So you're just bending the right knee. And if you have the range of motion, reach your right hand to the outside edge of the right foot. Try to keep the pelvis, again, grounded on the mat. So we want to stabilize the pelvis so that we can work around the pelvis to build length and mobility and flexibility into different joints, like the hips. And then to close here, take the hands around the right shin extend the left foot forward. Guide both legs in towards your belly for a moment. And then grab the strap, switch sides. Take also maybe just a moment to notice the difference in the two sides. So we start with the leg extended, rolling the strap up so the hands can get closer to your foot. Again, I'm bending my right knee, putting my foot on the floor. See if I can get my hands closer. Strap around the ball of the foot, yes. So around the mound of the big toe. Try to keep the shoulders on the mat. Push up through the mound of the big toe. So slight activation through the inside of the leg, the inseam of the thigh. Does this make you sleepy? He's upset with me because I'm kind of making him stay or sit down here with me. I basically said to him, "You're my prop for my film, okay? You're gonna sit on this blanket and you're gonna do yoga with me. All the people can see you." And he's not very happy about it. A little distraction for you so you don't think about your hamstrings, your tight hammies. Also, if you don't have a strap, you can always use a tie, a towel. That's it. Do the internal rotation. Guide the left toes. Oh, this one's a little tighter. And he's out. He's like, "I'm so done with this. I don't get paid enough for this." Push up through the heel. Try not to roll to the side. Keep the pelvis grounded. And try to keep activation in the foot to stabilize the ankle. Stabilize all the joints. Make sure you're not holding your breath either. You can very easily do this as you're watching a Netflix episode or just in general if you have time, downtime on your rug by the TV. So come into your half a happy baby shape. So just bending into the left knee. And you want to aim to hold the poses between 30 seconds to as long as 2 minutes to get the most out of the work. We'll bring the left knee to the chest, extend the right foot forward. And both knees to your chest. Take a couple of deep breaths here. And so my suggestion to finish this sequence is to find a wall and extend your legs up against the wall and do that for as long as your schedule or your day allows you to, for a minute, for 2 minutes, or even as long as 5 minutes. Find a wall, prop your legs up against the wall, and just let your legs be very passive and let blood drain down from the legs to the heart. It's a really good way to just kind of reset the body, and it's also very restorative. So I hope that you found this class, this sequence, this focus helpful, and that you get to practice it here and there just to bring some balance into your body.